Okay, one of my RC friends asked if I would go over what I did to my Redcat rock slide to turn it into a better crawler and a better vehicle. And actually, I have almost nothing as far as money into fixing this stuff. So, first thing I did was cut the bottom where the battery tray is and move it up to the next cross. And then I re-drilled holes to make the battery tray match up, and you can fit a 3S battery in there. Another thing I did was here on the top, I flipped the battery tray to upside down, and that lowered it, get your center of gravity down a little bit. And it also has the Velcro straps down in there, but it still slides because you're crawling up crazy steep stuff. So I added this little threaded bolt in there, and I just press it down a little bit on the battery, just enough to keep it from moving back and forth. That's something, let me say that's a bad thing to do, but it works real good. So don't hold me to that one. Another thing I did was the motors. I took them out. You can take these motors out and just hold them down on the table, and you can hear the vibration to see which one's spinning faster, because you know, all these motors, nothing's exactly the same. But what you could do, and I checked it before I said this to make sure it works, but you can just put a piece of wood in here and put that up to your ear, and you'll hear that motor through the wood, and you can tell, you know, just by the sound of it, how many RPMs. You know, it's a lot higher pitch if it's faster. And then I did it to the back one, and the pitch was lower. So I do have the fastest of the two motors in the front and the slower one in the back. I haven't changed the gears or anything inside of this. Okay, so that took off a good ½ an inch of ground clearance, made it better. And on the shocks here, these are shocks from an Axial SCX10. I took the ones off of here. These come with like nice metal tipped shiny looking ones, so I took them off and put them on something else just because they look cool. So I don't know if you really need to change the shocks on them or not. But what I did was, they came like hooked right about here. I loosened them up and slid them all the way down and pushed them right up against the eye bolt piece. That's as far forward as you can push them without putting them on that plastic. And now that might have been enough to keep it from popping way up in the middle. See, that's all the farther it pops up. Before, this thing used to hump up like a black cat. So that may be all you need to do to fix it. But I ran across this other thing here. I saw another guy on YouTube do this to his Redcat because of the same thing. So I had to make another upright, and then I cut these little pieces of angle and put them on there. That makes it flat, so that kind of keeps your linkages. They were rolled on the side there, and they would pivot up and down. This way they can only go so far before they get pinched off by the metal, and they're not going to go any farther. Now you might not have to do that if you just extend these shocks out. And this ugly thing here, that was just because I had a body that had holes in it, so I made something that would match up to where the holes are at. And same with the side pins. But you can put a 1/16 scale body on these, and then you don't have to cut the wheel wells or notch out the beds or all kinds of stuff to make them not rub. Okay, I rolled it up on the side so we can look right down in there. Now I changed out the ESC for a quick run. I have no idea why I did that. Just because I wanted to upgrade stuff. And it's a 2 leads out. So I just soldered the front and rear together onto the 2 leads. Kind of wish I would have got the 4 lead. Then you can get them with receivers and you'll have a drag brake and everything in there. But it works okay for me. And that's the stock receiver. I waterproof everything. You should anyways. The front linkage might be, well, no, I'm not even going to say that. It has the same kind of fittings on it. So it's probably came with steel, or I found steel steering rods. You got to have those bendy ones. They don't get you the stuff. The servo, this one is a Savox Zero 231 waterproof, $39, and it's a lot stronger than the stock one there, like I still have in the rear, and it still works fine. And I've had this thing in water all the time. But if you have the money and you want to do that, that's a good thing to change out, because they're pretty weak servos. As long as I'm into this, at the end of this, I'll just show you the difference here. This was, when I bought it, was $165 for a motor on axle. I was trying to get into the crawler world cheap as I could do it, and I think I'd still rather have an RC Bully, but boy, they cost a lot. Another one I bought was this Losi for, it was $279, so $110 more. And I have done virtually nothing to it, really. I mean, I've changed the motor to a 55 turn, which is a little, I think it comes with like a 65. Oh yeah, I burned the motor up in this one, actually. I changed stuff anyways, I don't know. Anyways, I haven't done much to it. The extensions, weight in the wheels, and you can see I've even got weight on top of the steering servo, because that's still on sprung weight. But it crawls just tremendous. It's really a good truck. It works really, really good. Little noisy in the worm gears in the front and the back, but the flex on this one, just by itself, we'll pick it up till the back tire lifts. Okay, there we go. That's till the back tire lifts in this one. Just moved around here. Okay, then we lift this one up until the back tire lifts. You can see it right there. So this one actually has more articulation, and I would recommend it over the Red Cat by far. But it doesn't have rear steering, and that comes in pretty handy when you're rock crawling. Also, I put wheel extensions on it. That stabilizes it quite a bit for your side hilling and stuff like that. And of course, the tallest tires you can find, because if you're crawling rocks, you want big tires. And they're weighted. I don't believe I have weight in the back tires. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But that's what I do with mine. Who knows what I'll do to it next? We'll see.